Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlax here. It's Monday, which means it is once again time for another one of our viewer specials. For those who might be unfamiliar with the video format here, the viewer special is a video we do once a week on Monday where we watch replays from you all, the viewers, as opposed to just seeing me play games all the time. If you are interested in submitting games for the viewer special, here is what you need to know. Check out the description below. You'll find an invite link to my Discord server. There in the Master Duel section of the Discord server, there's an entire channel dedicated to viewer special submissions. And that is definitely by far the best place to submit because I'm looking at it not just like when I sit down to record, but throughout the whole week as well. I watch pretty much everything that comes through there just out of curiosity, especially if it's a deck that I play or one that just in general piques my interest. But you know, all the games there are pretty good ones that are submitted. And if you're looking for some more information like about the deck list or stuff, if you see a deck here that interests you, then I would definitely advise checking out the Discord there, because I don't have these lists available to me because, well, these aren't my decks. So if you are interested, again, in connecting with other duelists who are submitting these awesome games, come check out the Discord server. It's a good time. We talk about the game, hang out, and chill, have fun always there. But if you're interested in submitting a game for sure, you're going to want to do that there. The main bit of information that I'll need from you is your 9-digit player ID. And then that will allow me to, of course, see your profile and your publicly saved replays. Do make sure that your replays are being saved publicly, because if they're not, then I'm not able to view or feature them. Also, if you want to leave a little blurb about the game, that's extremely helpful. If you have multiple replays and you want me to see one in particular, you know, definitely leave the date, time, opponent's name, some kind of information that I know that's the game you're talking about. Also, if you want to just talk a little about the game too, you know, I played this deck versus that deck is already extremely helpful, but yeah, I mean, just, you know, however much detail you want to go into it, it's all very welcome information there. And if you have multiple games, you can absolutely submit them all individually. The only thing I really ask is that you don't spam the same submission over and over again. But and even if you don't get featured, again, know that I did probably watch your game, and there's always the next week as well. We do this every single Monday, so there's always more chances to get featured there. But I actually have a bunch of really, really cool games. I mean, they're always cool games, but there are a bunch of decks that were submitted this week that really piqued my interest as far as like stuff I would personally be interested in playing. So I want to check these out here. Let's go into the first one. Okay, so our first duel we're going to watch comes to us from Trash Player, who has a game here where they are playing Punk Tierlament with the Ghost Fusion package, as well as a little zombie package there as well. Zombie Punk Tier is definitely a style of deck that I've played before, and the using of Ghost Fusion is something I've had suggested to me too, so let's see how that ends up panning out here. We're going to start with the No Punk Ogre Dance. That's going to get Ash Blossomed, but I don't think there's much of a need to use Call By here, given that we already have pretty much every Punk monster we care about in our hand. So, normal summoning the Zayamine and activating, and they have an Imperm as well. This is perfect. This is all stuff we'd like to see. Also, I don't even necessarily think that the other player is like misusing their disruption. I think maybe the Ash Blossom I would have waited for the Foxy Tune and not use it on the Ogre Dance, but Imperm on Zayamine is definitely correct there. And with no Ash or Imperm, we know that the Rising Carp is free to resolve, getting the Madam Spider as well as the Deer Note. That's going to end up adding Dangerous Gabu. Sinking for 8. That's going to make the Jam Dragon Drive. So far, this looks like a fairly standard kind of Punk line here, but things are going to get pretty wild pretty quickly here. We even get to Chain Block the Deer Note F with Zayamine. It's always nice. Alright, bringing back the Wakaushi, not the Wakaushi, the the Sharkusai, that one. Can tell I've been thinking about Super Heavy Samurai quite a bit lately. Here we go, now we're pivoting into the zombie line with Immortal Dragon. That is going to send to the Ghost Sleeper, which is what allows us to add Ghost Fusion. Ghost Fusion will then allow us to fuse. So the cool thing that I didn't know about Ghost Fusion and didn't realize is that It actually is a fusion summon from extra using only zombie monster control material. Life points are lower, which Punk definitely gets us there. You could banish the zombie. I knew you could use a zombie from deck. I didn't realize you could banish it. That's a really good way to banish Changshi the Spirado, which is honestly, I think, one of the best zombie monsters out there. The level 6 body is really good for synchro summoning. It summons itself whenever it's banished, which, as you can see, is not a terribly difficult condition to fulfill. And also, just once per turn during the main phase, you can just send a zombie from deck to graveyard. This card is so unbelievably good. And the cool thing is, we even get to fuse for the Garura as well. So that leaves us with another level 6 monster, which allows us to instantly overlay for the Beatrice, Lady of the Eternal. I love this line. This is such a cool line here. Detaching Garura, sending the Rainbow Bridge of Salvation, which is actually going to be our pivot into the Tier Limit line. Not the first time Tier Limit has utilized this card, and definitely looking pretty good here as part of our, like, you know, kind of guaranteed tournament combo line, the crossout top deck. Not that we end up needing it here. Again, we played through 2 hand traps already. Shyman gets the Milhavnus, fusing into Kitkalos. Or sorry, into Dragostapelia, my bad. And we're through half of our deck already. That's insane. Immortal Dragon coming back. That's a level 6 tuner, by the way. So syncing with Shyren to make the Baron de Fleur. And look at this, look at this. Oh, this is so good. We have another mill coming up on the opponent's turn. We have a negate and level change, very relevant. We have the Omni negate and destroy. Sharakusai plus Jam Dragon Drive still represents going into the Amazing Dragon for multiple bounces. The Gabu that we searched for the monster effect negate, and then the incidental crossout designator we drew. It's so good. Like, that was through 2 disruptions that both resolved, by the way. That's insane. Alright, so we're up against, I don't think I mentioned it, we're actually playing against Speedroid Cash. They're going to start with the Unicorn, but we not only get to negate it with the Dragostapelia, but also dropping this thing's level to 1. Hugely relevant in this matchup, as this stops the easy level 10 Synchro right here. Looks like Beatrice F is going to activate there. Linking off for the Rubber Band Shooter. Rubber Band Shooter is going to activate, but we have the Gabu set, so we get to just use that. And the life point gain, of course. Double yo-yo, yeah, this is going to end up meeting the Amazing Dragon because our opponent's about to have 3 bodies on the board, and we definitely have 3 tuners. Well, 3 level 3 psychic tuners in the yard. We have the Madam Spider, we have the Zayamine, and then we have the Sharakusai. So that means we get to bounce all 3 of these monsters. Opponent's last card is going to be Small World, which we'll let resolve for now, see what they get. It is going to end up being Speedroid Terratop. That we can definitely just negate and destroy. And yeah, now we know their last card in hand is a random Speedroid monster. They've already normal summoned, so yep, that is going to end up doing it. That is such a cool line. I love this deck. Like I said, all of these decks that we're going to see today are both really cool and ones that I would very much consider trying out myself. But like, God, as soon as I saw the Ghost Fusion banish the Shang-Chi, the Spirado from the deck, I was like, oh, hell yeah, that is my favorite zombie monster. And to see it used in that way is so, so cool. But we definitely have a couple more really awesome duels to check out. Let's go into the next one here. Okay, our next game comes to us from Hasisnin. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. They have a game where they're playing Branded Synchro, which is, like I've said multiple times before, yet another deck that I've been meaning to try out myself. I have been meaning to cover Branded Despia in some capacity for a deck profile this season. We did kind of do Bistio Runic, but I might do a standard Branded Despia build, or I might do Branded Synchro. I might do both. I don't know yet, but it is on my mind. Don't worry. Looks like we're up against Lab, and we're going second. So this is going to be less of a combo demonstration type of game, and more of a, you know, playing through disruption kind of game. Sometimes I do like featuring because you know, I've been asked even recently, like, oh, why do you feature this list that just went off uninterrupted turn 1? It's to get an idea of what the deck is capable of and see what its combo line is like played out. I think that is one of the best ways to first see a deck, you know, for the first time, especially if it's a list that you might not be like super familiar with. So like, you know, I want to see how Ghost Fusion worked with the Pug stuff, so I liked that game demonstrated how that combo line being played out. So, but yeah, this is definitely going to be a game where we are up against a fair bit of stuff from the opponent already. Going to normal summon the Quem. They have the Coup Clock. They're going to fire that off right away. That's because you can reset with the Lady Lab, or the Lovely Lab, right? Yeah, Welcome Lab activating. Oh, and then also, of course, the Lady Lab F to set as well. They get the Big Welcome Lab and the Lady Lab F. Yeah, we can't use this because we don't have a monster in our hand, so no way to chain block the Lady Lab. I always forget to do that anyway. Like, I always forget you can do that. Okay, they get to pop a card and then also draw a card. God, Lab is like such an uphill battle when it gets its engine going there. Regained, moving to battle phase, we're going to smash our Druistorm into the Lovely Lab to remove it with the Druistorm's effect. Nadir Servant coming down to add the Albaz from deck to hand, sending the Titaniclad, which also gets to activate here. End phase will also meet the Chandragolier. Interestingly, the opponent pitched a Maxi that they didn't end up using. I mean, we didn't summon that much, so it makes sense, but we do not have to worry about that Maxi anymore. Coup Clock coming back means that the Regained will actually get our Druistorm back, so setting up our own kind of resource loop here. I mean, that's the thing about both Branded and Lab that makes those decks difficult for me to play, is like trying to play not only with the current turn in mind, but also setting up the resource loop for like multiple turns to come. These are both decks where, you know, any move you're making is, again, not just for the current moment, but you got to be thinking 1, 2, sometimes even 3 turns in the future, because both of these decks, but especially Labyrinth, tend to be really grindy decks. They're very control-y. Again, Lab, very, very control-y, but even for a more combo-oriented deck, Branded does have a lot of very control aspects to it as well. Yeah, we get to use the Retribution against the Big Welcome here, which is very, very nice. Counter Trap means that there's no shot of anything else being chained, although this was also just set this turn, and Coup Clock is still on the field, so I don't think we have a chance to do that anyway. We're sending the Coup Clock. That's really interesting. Okay. Okay, they're linking off for the Muckraker. That allows us to get our Druistorm back yet again. It's like, and the Cartesia from the Quem. These resource loops. Oh, okay. I wonder if that other Maxi was in hand earlier, and that's why the opponent discarded one. I wonder, actually. I wasn't really keeping track of what was being searched and what was being drawn, so I don't know if that was actually a possibility or not. But yeah, again, these resource loops from Branded here, you know. The Regained continuously bringing back the Druistorm. The Cartesia were continuously coming back via Quem and or its own effect. And the Lady Lab, or the Lovely Lab, we're resetting that Dimension Barrier again. Although, funnily enough, we're on Branded Synchro, so the Dimension Barrier for Fusion might not even necessarily be the most obvious hit here. We get to immediately go for the Baron de Fleur with our first bit of priority before our opponent even has a chance to activate Dimension Barrier. Welcome Lab being chained to the Druistorm. We're going to let that resolve because the Druistorm sending the Lovely Lab means it won't get to pop anything. Guiding Quem bringing back the Cartesia. Branded Regained bringing back the Druistorm again. How many times is that now? Although the opponent's Royal Mudora is now threatening that. Retribution is going to wheel the Branded High Spirits back in hand. We do still have that Albaz as well. Definitely worth noting. Okay, so now we know the opponent's last face down is D-Barrier, which is being flipped up right now to call Synchro, which means we can chain the Cartesia to Fuse. That's so good. I wondered if they were going to call Synchro. I mean, I kind of don't know why they did, given the situation. We only had level 4 tuners and a Baron. Plus we had the Cartesia. I don't know, like, well, to be fair, I don't know. We could have, even if they called Fusion, we could have chained to Cartesia. Although, then that would have made this Albion much worse. Although, I will also say, I don't know that I necessarily would have made the right call in the moment either. So, I'm not trying to like dog on the other player or rag on them too much for. I said dag for dog and rag, but I don't want to rag on them too much for a slight misplay in a very, very tense back and forth situation. Lab now doing their whole chain link here, popping the Baron, Ariana drawing, Welcome Lab setting itself, Dragolier adding itself, and then finally we get to fuse off the Albion here. Albaz and the Baron. Oh, this is, yeah, this, oh no, it's Mirror Jade, okay. Duh, yeah, because that is an extra deck monster. And then they just concede? Or is that a time limit? It could be a time limit thing. Which is it? It was a surrender. That's so good. Oh, that was such a good game. That, again, that whole game right there is just like the epitome of what, for me personally, is very difficult about playing both these decks. Just keeping up that resource loop. Just, you gotta keep the next 2-3 turns in mind. Just thinking about how they're gonna pan out, what you need, what you're going to need to make your plays, because as always as ever, with decks like these in particular, you're not just playing for the current moment, you got to plan for the future at the same time as well. So, very, very well played. We do have one more game to check out. Let's hop straight into that here. Okay, our final duel for this week comes to us from Banana Pot, who I think actually goes by King of Potato on the Discord, if I recall correct. They're just kind of funny, two food-themed names. They're playing Suship versus Mathmech. And that duel was from Master 2. Did you take Suship the whole way, Banana Pot / King of Potato? Because if you did, that is seriously impressive. They're at Master 1. I'm pretty sure that's what that said on their profile card there. So that's extremely impressive if true. I want to see your extra deck, because if there's one thing Suship is known for, it's also being a fairly cheap deck to build. We are on the Sargus package, which I really, really like. Ooh, we got the Royal Suship carrier here, but we got Redoer. That's pretty much a staple, though. Like, Trident is pretty stapley. F-Zero. I mean, again, I'm looking at it from my own personal perspective, I suppose, but I mean, that extra deck is not too shabby at all. I mean, if you've ever built, like, a Zodiac deck in general, you've probably got everything for the extra deck here, so. Alright, so the Suships are going off here. We're getting the Shari to the hand. We have the Shari red as well. That allows us to special it, and then another, yep, Suship from the deck. I'm not going to pretend like I know what these do off the top of my head, but, God, it's so cool to see these in action. Okay, so we get to draw and add, but they have a nib! Oh no, they have a nib, and we didn't get to summon the Regulus yet. However, this is going to be yet another duel where the deck that we're showcasing is able to play through a fair bit of disruption, in this case an entire board wipe from the Nibiru. This is the new continuous spell, by the way. It's like new-ish. I think it came out not in the most recent pack, but maybe one of the ones before it. Gunkin Suship Catch of the Day. Once per turn, you can reveal Gunkin Suship Shari in your hand. Place a counter on this card, and if you do, reveal a Gunkin Xyz monster from your extra deck, and your opponent declares a Gunkin monster's card name, except Suship Shari. I wonder how many players have to be told what all of the monsters they can call are. I know I would need to be. That is mentioned on any Gunkin Xyz monster, then, I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that, by the way, then you can add the declared card from your deck to your hand. If you cannot add, shuffle this card to the deck. If this card is in its owner's possession, is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, your opponent pays exactly 500 life points for each counter on this card. So flavorful, so good. I love that this is basically you, the player, are asking your opponent what sushi they want to be presented with. And the counters are, once this card leaves the field, your opponent has to pay for the tab. That's funny. I like it. I love it. So we're getting the Uni to our hand. We do have another Shari in hand as well, meaning we can summon both. Uni's effect will add a Shari red and lower its level. That will allow us to overlay into whatever the boat with Uni on it is. Oh, no, we're going for Merrymaker here. Oh, that's right. We're going to set up our Spriggans line. Not just the Regulus. We are actually going to do a little bit of a Spriggans line here. Going for the gigantic champion Sargus. Sargus will add the Tally-Ho Spriggans. That card's effect will detach all of Sargus' materials to add the Paydor and summon it as well as Merrymaker and Rocky. Sargus F will then pop the Nibiru because Xyz materials were detached from one of our monsters. Now we get to make the Magic-y Spirit Veptaru, or the party rather. I glossed over this in the extract earlier, but this will allow us to wheel the Shari back into our hand. And now we can take our Merrymaker and the Partu, 2 rank 4s, and casually go into our UDF here. So good. So good. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we got the UDF, we got the Regulus still coming down. The Sargus is still Disruption, by the way. Even though it doesn't have Xyz materials, it'll still destroy or bounce a card whenever any Xyz monster detaches its materials, including Utopic Draco Future here. Signet Mining does in fact reveal they are on Math Mech. I definitely like this Ash Blossom against the Signet Mining here, because we already have like so many other forms of disruption that just getting that +1 in card advantage, setting our opponent even further behind in advantage, I think is going to make breaking through this established board all the more daunting. To be fair, they just pitched an extra Signet Mining, so it's not like it was useful anyway, but... Okay, now they're activating Subtraction on the Sargus, linking it off for either Ling or... No, it's gotta be Ling, because if they specialed it, right? It couldn't be Almirage. Ah, for the Parallel Exceed, it makes sense. Parallel Exceed effect is going to activate. We've got the Utopic Draco Future, which will not only negate, but take control of the Parallel Exceed. Meaning they cannot use it for even summoning the Splash Mage as a body here. We also get to put back the Lingarebo because we detached the material, leaving our opponent with 1 card in hand, and we still didn't even use the Sargus' Omni Negate as our last point of disruption. Wow. Wowie, wow, wow. And again, we set up that board after getting Nibiru'd. After we already got Nibiru'd. That is insane. That's wild. Whew, so good. Alright, want to thank not only Banana Pot, as well as everyone else who's featured, but also who was submitted as well. And again, even if you weren't featured in this week's video, there's definitely always the next one. But thank you one and all. Also those who are watching, thank you also very much. Let us now move to the outro. Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of the video. That means a lot to me. It's also a great way to support the channel, so thank you very much in that way as well. If you're interested in supporting the channel in other ways, like the very special patrons that I am thanking here, you can do so by checking out some of the links in the description. One of those goes to the Patreon, where you can join these fine folk and support the channel that way. I do post daily content over on Patreon, so you do get something for support there. And if you're interested, I also have a coaching tier option as well. Details again will be on Patreon in the link below. Also in the description linked below is my Twitch page where I stream a few times a week. You can go ahead and check that out, follow or subscribe over there if you ever want to catch me live. You'll also find my second YouTube channel if you feel like subscribing over there to watch some of the Twitch VODs as well as some additional non-Yu-Gi-Oh related content that I make over there. Again, any of those links you want to check out is all a great way of supporting. But again, even if you don't do that, just watching was also a fantastic way to support. And once again, I have to thank you so very much. But in any case, this is Hexlex. I'm going to be signing out, and I'm hoping you have a fantastic day.